Thank you so much.
So glad that you're here.
This is so wild. It's the first time we've ever met.
It is the first time we met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I know you.
Likewise.
From TV, but also like, my friends have been guests on this show.
Yeah, we've really, as we've become Vanderpump fans. Well, it's funny because I met, I've known Ariana for a long time because we had a mutual friend. I met her when I first moved to LA.
Is your heart broken?
Oh,
like
I'm so
mine
sad
is?
for her.
Yeah.
So even after like the episode last night, and the dog.
Oh my God.
And just everything. It's just like.
Yeah, I have some tea about that situation. Not about her dog, but around that time.
Well, let's gossip.
Let's gossip.
Let's get into it.
So word in our friend group is that right after, so this is before I saw tonight's episode. I found this out about a week ago. Word within our friend group is that she, Rachel, who's fraudulent to the core, Raquel.
Yeah, what is up with that? What is the...
Yeah, so Rachel, I'll call her now.
Let's
Raquel,
just call her Rachel.
She and Tom hooked up right after Havasu. Which was where they were on tonight's episode.
So where they're setting it up for a Schwartz and Raquel potential situation, it's
but like
actually Sandoval.
Right. I mean, well, none of us knew this until obviously the news broke in the tabloids. Like, I'm shaking thinking about it because when I heard Havasu, I remember, obviously I was not filming the show, but these were still my girlfriends and I knew what they were doing over the summer. And when someone said Havasu, I immediately thought, wait, wasn't that when she had to put Charlotte down? Like, that takes a real fucking evil type of person to have your partner of almost a decade come home from a trip filming, put her best friend of, I think Charlotte was like 18 years old or something crazy, put her down, and then Raquel gets back from the trip and you guys hook up.
Fucks him.
Yeah, just like I'm literally shaking thinking
but like
about it.
This episode was also just fascinating. Those little kind of Easter eggs of Rachel, like when they were all sitting down and they were kind of like downloading the previous night, and Raquel wanted everyone to know. She's like, well, Lala liked him too. Mm-hmm. She wanted everyone to know that like I won. Mm-hmm. Like I got him. He chose me. Yes. He picked me. And anytime she had an opportunity, she wanted people to know that.
And it's the way she acted about Tom Schwartz. And then within her public apology, if you want to call it that, her public acknowledgement she posted on social media, it was like the ending was something along the lines of, Tom and I aren't defining our relationship right now. Girl, sit down. So you won Oliver, like you won. You're still trying to screw up James and his new girlfriend because you want to win him. You want to win Schwartz. You want to win everybody.
She wants to collect hearts.
Yeah.
How is Ariana doing?
I mean, she's devastated. Yeah. She's humiliated. She was in Mexico over the weekend for a wedding, and I haven't seen her since, but I've talked to her, and she was just like, it was really nice to get away from everything.
Yeah.
She's not quite ready to come back, to real life. But the conversation that we essentially have been having with her is like, she's very nervous and afraid for the first time she's going to have to sit alone with these thoughts and like truly deal with the reality of it all post filming. And I just told her, like, I get it, but you don't have to be right now. There's no timeline.
Yeah.
Don't force yourself. If it takes you a month, if it takes you 3 months, if you need 10 of us over or just one person at your house at all times, that's okay.
Yeah. And I know it's certainly easier said than done. And I've been on her end before. Same. And it's the worst.
With the same person, unfortunately.
Do you think she knows deep down she has nothing to be humiliated for, in the sense?
Yes, I do think so. But I get it. It's on national television. And she's going to have to talk about it. Like, as you guys, and as you know, you film and it doesn't just go away. You're going to talk about this in press. You're going to do shoot pickups, your interview bites. Yeah. They've picked cameras back up in March over things they filmed last summer. So I think that's the whole humiliation of it all and not seeing it.
And then these stories like after Arizona, you know, to know that Ariana's literally crying over losing her best friend, her dog, and thinking that Tom was there for her, thinking that Raquel was there for her. the most frustrating part about this season and watching it is all those little moments where Kel is always like, oh, like,
You sound just like her.
I'm just like, oh, poor, it's like, oh, fuck you. It's like,
I kept trying to come up with just like a more intricate, proper synonym for just being like, she is so fucking dumb. She's just so dumb. She has no personality. And now in hindsight, I can see why Tom is, I guess, into her, or why they're doing this, because Ariana has a backbone. Raquel does not. Raquel validates everything that Tom needs to be validated. How cool he is, how talented he is, his stupid band and his sequin pants and his nail polish and his dumb haircuts and, you know, the mustache, for fuck's sake, the pedophile mustache.
Is he not bright? Tom?
I mean, right now I have nothing good to say about him.
But objectively, like I, you know, not that it's an excuse, but like, is he just not?
I think he's a narcissist, and I think he's just very self-centered, and very selfish. And I don't know. I mean, I was with him for almost 6 years. We should have broken up after year 2. Obviously, we were just young and broke, and it was a relationship of convenience.
And we've all been in those young relationships where you look back and realize, well, I said that too long, but you want to fight for it.
And once Ariana and I became friends and got over that whole hump, you know, many years ago, I like worship the ground she walks on for being able to deal with someone so narcissistic and someone who's so attention needy and in spotlight thriving.
What is it about Tom? Because you know, you dated him for a long time, Ariana did, and while it's very easy right now for us to bash him and point things out, but clearly there are characteristics he has that attracts people. What is it about Tom, do you think, that has allowed him to kind of get away with this behavior? Even Schwartz, it's just like, I don't know these guys really at all. I've never met them. I only know them from watching them, and I've really only watched this season. And to me, they just seem like just the worst type of guys in the sense that they're what give all guys a bad rap. You know, the Peter Pan syndrome of it all. I've said in previous episodes, they only give a shit about anyone else after all their needs are met, after they're having fun, as long as the vibe's cool, you know? And then when Scheana was just like, hey, we want you to get the Schwartz back. And he was just like, well, I don't want to hire a prostitute. And I'm thinking, like, how do you say I've paid for sex without saying I've paid for sex? Like, no one brought that up, Tom.
Nobody asked.
No one asked. You know, and it's just like, these guys are just, they're children.
Yeah.
They're fucking kids.
Jerry O'Connell said that. And I like applaud
I saw that.
Jerry
He
O'Connell, like
crushed it,
looking right into the camera and going,
they're boys.
They're boys.
Yeah.
And there are men out there who will date you. And
they're 40.
Yeah. And kind of going
almost 41.
Your question of like, what is like, what do you think it is that kind of like attracts people, that keeps people there, that like balances out allegedly like the flaws that are on obvious display?
Yeah.
If you think back to, you know, Katie started dating Schwartz 12 years ago, right? Ariana started dating Tom 10 years ago. I started dating Tom 6 years before that. So at that time, it's charming, it's cute, it's fun, it's light, it's funny.
Yeah.
The problem is they never grew up. So it's like that shit doesn't stick anymore. You need to start maturing. And the problem is they just chose to never grow up. Like you were saying, the Peter Pan syndrome. They refuse to go to therapy. They don't want to better themselves. They think that they'll just get away with this forever because there is going to be some dumb fans and younger girls who will fall for it and who will give them the attention that they want. Someone like Raquel.
Tom's whole reason for the band, right?
Yeah.
That's his whole reason.
Yes.
It's not to like become a musician.
No.
He's not passionate about playing covers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras. I mean, it says it right there.
It's for
attention.
And girls who are fans of the show to show up and treat him like a rock star.
Yeah. And I heard, and this is alleged, but I heard, so he had a show 2 days after all of this shit went down, and he actually went and played it, the audacity. And
I saw clips.
Yeah, and
fine.
allegedly who knows, he was probably like on mushrooms and drunk and God knows what else, but went to a bar afterward, got completely smashed, and had sex with some fangirl that night. I don't put anything past him at this point.
Yeah.
It's the only thing he can do to make himself feel better about all of this.
Do you think Ariana is, I mean, it's probably a stupid question, but she must be kind of going back in her head and wondering, what else?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, what else is going on?
Yeah, absolutely.
What else have you done?
And I think something I'm very proud of her for, the girls and I have been really cautious of, especially in the beginning. I mean, God, it's only been a couple of weeks. But because she removed herself from social media, right? She didn't want to know a lot of things. However, she did have to film about it. She was going to be hearing rumors or things that were actually true. And it did get to a point after maybe like day 3 or 4. She just said, like, I don't want to hear any more about it. I don't need to know another rumor. I don't need to hear about another girl because what the fuck does it matter at this point?
For her, yeah. It doesn't.
And it doesn't.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. Of course she was wondering.
Yeah, it's like
it just
every
all
time
came flooding
then you
back.
get triggered, you'll have a good day and something will come up, or you hear something or you see something. I mean, she's living in their house.
Yeah.
Everything in that house is going to potentially be a trigger, a memory of something he said or did, or a time where it's like, well, were you there for me or were you fucking someone else?
Well, right.
And it's just like, oh my, and it's just like, I've been there, and it's just like, it ruins you. It's just like consumes your every like ounce of energy.
100%. And when I was over at her house, well, the very first day that I went over there, which was like 2 days after this happened, I said this on my podcast too, not to be repetitive, but like she immediately came up to me, gave me a hug. We both started crying. She's like, I love you. Thank you for being here. And then she said, I'm so fucking sorry. Like, to me.
For what?
Who knows what I mean, I have a million ideas I could think of what she was sorry for. Not believing me. Dating him she did wait until we were broken up, but I think even entertaining that, always thinking I was the crazy one for saying he was a cheater, probably a multitude of things. But I'm like, girl, you have an adult relationship with this person. This is like a real adult, like essentially married without a certificate. I was like in a joke of a relationship. So like, don't even go there in your mind. But of course she's going to go back and think, was that true? Was that true? How many times? And then I think also one of the worst things is when they had to have their first conversation, and I believe this part, I'm pretty sure it was filmed, he was just gaslighting her. There was no genuine apology. He was saying how she never supports him. She doesn't validate him.
This was after
she found out. And
he was telling her all the reasons why it was her fault.
Exactly.
Fucking
Which
piece of shit.
That is Tom to a
But it doesn't.
T.
We're not surprised.
Not at all. But for her, it was like, of course it made her mad, but then when I filmed with her, she started crying and she's like holding up her phone going, so my relationship, he's saying our relationship was that of like convenience and contentment or something, not love and romance.
Yours and his.
No, hers. Like she said Tom said this about she and Tom. And she immediately is just flooding tears looking at her phone going, so all of these memories, all of these wonderful trips we took, all of these videos I have, all these kissing photos, this was all bullshit?
Oh, he's the worst.
He sucks.
He's the worst.
He needs to flee the country, but I don't know what country would want him right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Italy.
Italy doesn't deserve him.
No country.
No one.
Like,
where do we put
Tasmania?
Him? What about a boat? We just send him off.
We all have made mistakes in
Absolutely.
life. We've all have been selfish at times. We have done things that hurt people we love at times. He has such an opportunity here to like do the right thing, to really fall on the sword. I saw a clip. I don't know if it had something to do with this season or past seasons, but something like, I don't need therapy to know I fucked up or whatever. It's like, no, Tom, you need therapy to not make sure you continue this pattern of destruction. You have a trail of destruction. There are people lined up out the door.
Of that.
Of people you have hurt and scarred, people you have left with PTSD, people that after you leave and, they're still hurting. They still, like years later, I'm sure, after you and Tom broke up, there were maybe a year later, you got triggered by something he did that
absolutely.
Ruined your fucking day or affected you in another relationship. And
yeah, I mean,
how we handle that,
when Tom and I
people.
broke up is when I started going to therapy, and I've now, my longest relationship is with my therapist.
Good for you.
We've been together 8.5 years, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because I know you didn't watch Vanderpump, but it's like, I definitely was not perfect, and I
We're
did
gonna
some
start,
really
we're gonna start
shitty.
watching it and recapping
I
it,
did.
yeah.
Please just don't. But I did some really shitty things. You know, I slept with someone when I was dating Tom, who was my best friend's ex-boyfriend, and I played the victim game and said, you know, why is everyone mad at me? Poor Kristen, because I was not grown up enough. Like, and I was choosing that.
Yeah.
And this is what I think needs to happen to him. If he even, I don't know if he has an opportunity for a comeback at this point, but the only way would be to truly humble himself, to lose everything, and to really do the self-work. And maybe in a couple of years, people will give him a shot again.
Yeah,
That's how long it took me. No one talked to me for a year and a half.
He'll only give a shit in terms of a comeback. As
Right.
opposed to like
Wanting to be a good person.
to be a good fucking person and looking in the mirror and saying, I've hurt people.
Yeah, I don't think he has
I've
that in
ruined
him.
people's lives. I have racked up thousands of dollars of therapy bills for other people.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good point.
Insurance companies
I
should
should
really
bill
be
him.
Yeah.
chasing him
They should
down.
No request.
I'm going to
That's
send
so-
him a PayPal request, itemized.
Super bill.
maybe like State Farm will hire Tom as
A
the
special
like
investigator.
Oh my God.
he's chaos. You know what's that fucking
Mayhem.
He's mayhem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Tom's
God.
fucking mayhem.
Model mayhem.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Oh my God.
I know you also mentioned in your podcast that like in the days after, when you and all of your other kind of close friends were showing up for Ariana, that Tom just kind of walked in
Oh yeah.
the door without any warning. And I was
Yeah.
wondering if you could speak to like
He
where
just
the
doesn't
arrange-
care still. He just
Did-
doesn't care.
So like what is he doing now? With like how are they handling like
ju-
shared
yeah.
space?
Do they have boundaries set up or
Mm-mm.
anything like that? Because certainly he owns the home, but is he leveraging that as, well, it's mine and fuck you and I don't care and you can't tell me not to go?
That's exactly
Yeah.
what he's
What a
doing,
piece of shit.
which is just wild to me. And we tried having a mutual friend, one of Ariana's like college best friends, rather than someone very too close to them that would not be able to like they would have a hot head, right? So we chose her friend Meredith, and all of us sitting around, okay, we're like composing this text in the most mature way that we can and not leading with emotions, right? Like letting cooler heads prevail
Yeah.
and just saying, listen, dude, you got to at least give her a couple hours heads up when you need to come home to pick things up. You need to let this rest for at least a few weeks. Allow her to grieve. Allow her to heal. And of course, his response is, it's my fucking house. I own half of it. I will come and go as I please. And if she has a problem with it, she can leave. So I then took it upon myself, because what I had to explain to everybody who has not been in a relationship with him is, at this point, it is not how we get what we want. It's just getting what we want. I sent him a text saying, like, I know you really care about her. I know you're probably sorry. So if you could just think about that. And, I know you want her to heal. But it was the same fucking response. So he is coming and going as he pleases. So she just won't be home alone. Because that's what she's the most afraid of, is being home and having alone and then having him walk in.
So she is now not only going through this trauma and this heartbreak, but she currently feels unsafe in her own home.
Exactly.
He's the worst.
You would think like nobody could ever be worse than like Jax Taylor on that show, or like me back in the day.
Jax
like this
Taylor's
just takes the cake.
only person I've ever denied taking a picture with.
That's amazing.
He got really pissed at me. It was when I was The Bachelor. We were at some nightclub, and like his, I think now wife,
Brittany.
she seemed really sweet, and she asked to take a picture, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then like Jack's like, let's all take a picture, and I just didn't know it. I only heard terrible things about him,
Mhm.
and I was like, my season was airing, and I was like, I don't need to be like
No.
seen with Jax Taylor at
As
a club.
if you're like best friends
As
with
if we're
him.
friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm good. And he was so
Hilarious.
pissed. Anyway, sidetracked. But
Yeah.
anything else that you could shed the light? Do you think Tom Schwartz knew? He's denying it, that he ever knew. I saw
he's-
the clip of him getting off the airport and being interviewed at TMZ, and even just like, it's just like, there's something about their energy. It's just so non-fucking chalant.
Yeah.
It's just so like,
to an offensive degree. Like it is
yeah, it's like,
offensive
hey, man,
for you to
what's
be
going
cheering
on?
in this
Like,
situation.
he's
This
just
is
like, oh, just got
it-
off a plane. First of all, when I fly, I'm just naturally in a bad mood. By the time I get to LAX, I'm just like, I just want to get the fuck home. And he's just like, hey man, what's going on? Let's go, come to my bar.
Oh my God.
I fucking hate him.
Oh my
but
God.
do you think he must have known?
Yeah. So what we're being told by Schwartz is that he found out a month before, and that Tom Sandoval told his mother in December, and then told Schwartz about a month ago.
So what does Schwartz have to say for himself as to why he chose to keep Sandoval's secret? Because
what Schwartz told me is that he said that he was really pushing Tom to just be honest with Ariana off camera, so that obviously it would have to get talked about anyway, on or off camera, but to not let this completely humiliate her and blow up in their face by coming out. I believe that he feels that way, but Schwartz doesn't act on anything. He's a pussy. I love him to death, but like, man the fuck up.
He has no
This
backbone.
is your opportunity to really man up. And this is your business partner, right? And it is your best friend. And I'm not saying you have to loathe him the way that we all do. But I'll tell you right fucking now, if this were one of my girl best friends pulling this, we would be having like serious conversations and space.
Accountability.
I'm so tired. Like, I've said this before countless times, but like, friends don't protect your secrets, they protect your character.
Mm-hmm.
And too many people, especially young people, but these guys aren't fucking young, think being a friend is protecting someone's secret and bonding over keeping each other's secrets and shit like that. And being a good friend is sometimes sitting them down and being like, I want to believe this isn't you. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you need to stop this, do the right thing, and I'll be here for you. But like,
and now that I don't know, now that we're talking about it and I'm thinking back, I do think he knew. I don't think he knew the whole time, but I do think he knew longer than what he's copping to, because there was a period of time over the fall that there's this girl, Jo, that's been mentioned, Lord, who Schwartz is sort of dating. He says they're not. She says that's her boyfriend. She lives with him sometimes. I don't fucking know. She was my best.
What's going on now?
She's been mentioned on the show. She was my best friend for 8 years, like my everyday best friend for 8 years. And I haven't spoken to her since July because of all of this. Over the fall, there were so many times where Schwartz, girl Jo, Sandoval, and Raquel, the four of them, were hanging out nonstop. I just assumed it was because Schwartz and Jo are seeing each other or sleeping together and nobody wants to be a part of that. So like, she befriended Raquel, he has Tom, they only have these two people. But now, again, seeing it through this completely different lens, I'm like, no, the four of you are going on fucking double dates.
Yeah.
Like, he had to have known. I don't think, again, the whole time, because now we're hearing about the whole Coachella thing. Everyone said it was Schwartz and Raquel making out, and it was Sandoval and Raquel.
And it's like,
that was almost a year ago.
Guys fucking, and especially guys like them, they fucking love to brag about their conquests.
Mm-hmm.
They love to. They can't help themselves.
Yeah. That's the thing. Sandoval has to have validation. He cannot keep anything he does a secret, because he needs at least one person to validate and hear him bragging about it.
Yeah.
And that person is Schwartz.
There's just no way Schwartz didn't know.
Yeah. Can we go through like the timeline of things in terms of like, when do we have a kind of specific start date, or like when there's the first incident that's known?
I love a good timeline.
Not really. I mean, now we know about the Coachella thing. I don't know if it continued from that point on. Then, you know, the talk in our friend group is right after Havasu. So this was in the summer. This is definitely before Scheana's wedding. Scheana's wedding was in August. So it was at least in the summertime.
Wow.
And then,
because they hooked up at Scheana's wedding, right?
Schwartz and Raquel kissed at Scheana's wedding.
Schwartz and Raquel kissed at Scheana's wedding?
Yeah.
What?
Which is that. So that's why I'm like, Schwartz, there's no way Schwartz could have known back then.
So
that would be really
Sandoval
weird.
and Raquel kissed at Coachella.
Yes.
And then they hooked up after she got back from Havasu.
Mm-hmm.
And then she made out with Schwartz at the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
She's just like the Bachelorette, and Tom's are her final two. She keeps switching.
Which is just two validation monsters.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm thinking Schwartz probably didn't know over the summer while they were filming. I'm guessing like early fall or something is what it sounds like.
Now,
if I had to guess.
We saw Rachel, whatever, apology. And I will say, you know, I don't know who wrote it, you know, but I thought it was a fairly solid apology.
She didn't write it.
And
One of her PRs, the first one or the second one that she
It
fired.
was the one
her about.
referencing like her need for validation and trying to do the work. I thought it was
That is a crisis PR apology if I have ever heard one.
And they deserve a raise. It was good.
Nevertheless, I read this and I think to myself, okay, we all make mistakes, but if you actually follow through on what you say, maybe she's going into therapy and she's trying to figure out why she's making these types of choices. I'm like, all right, maybe you can learn from this. Do you think, from what you know about Raquel, do you think she is actually sorry for what she did? Do you think she really thinks and recognizes how bad it is? And do you think she's willing to do the work to make the appropriate changes?
No. I think
Why?
she's sorry she got caught. I think she's sorry that she's getting a bunch of negative attention, because she also ended that apology with not labeling her relationship with Tom right now.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking crazy? Like,
Why are you?
Read the room.
Yes.
Social
We don't
cues,
care.
Raquel.
Yeah.
Just leave that part out. What is fucking wrong with you? And now, how convenient that she gets this ridiculous temporary restraining order against Scheana
That's such bullshit.
that is granted only until the hearing on March 29th, right? But they have to film the reunion on March 23rd. How convenient that Raquel now does not have to sit under those hot lights and be in
So
the
she
hot
won't
seat.
be at the reunion.
I mean, I
Unless-
don't know what they're going to do unless they move the reunion, which, as far as I know, they haven't planned on that. Scheana can't even be on a Zoom with her, according to said temporary restraining order.
Do you?
So I just think it's really fucking convenient, and I think it's Raquel's way of getting out of it.
Do you know what happened with Scheana and Raquel?
Scheana didn't hit her. And I also saw like the photos and all of that. So first of all, if you go back to any of Raquel's like old photos, like she even has like, I think TikToks where she goes from like no glam to glam. She always she's like these little beauty marks under her eye, and one of her eyes is a lot darker underneath normally. Then there was like this scratch and like supposedly some bruising. But then like the next photo looked like she took red lip liner and drew a line. Then, like the next day, so this is her apology comes out and she says, I'm going home, or I've left LA to be with my family. Well, then she's caught by paparazzi walking around West Hollywood, and strangely enough, she has no marks on her face. That healed up quickly.
So you think she's faking it and
Yeah.
playing the victim?
Yeah, I mean, I know Scheana like was pissed off, but like, number one, it's Scheana. Like, weighs like $105. Her nails are longer than her fingers. Like, Scheana cannot punch someone, no matter how mad she is. It's just bullshit. Like, did Scheana probably like push her, and maybe I don't know, maybe she scratched her with her nail. I don't know,
On
but
accident or something?
yeah, but it's like it's Scheana. I'm sorry.
But even still, like, yeah, it's like, Raquel, you're
And
so
also,
focused on
if
being
she
the victim.
did, I applaud her if she did. But I mean, I got backhanded by Stassi, well deserved. Did you see me pressing charges? Like, grow up.
Yeah, literally.
She didn't
just
break your bones.
Focus
like,
on
oh,
taking
God.
accountability rather than. But we saw it in this past episode, like
Mhm.
Raquel's ability to play the victim. She was when she was crying in the fucking car, and she was talking about, the girl, the other women were kind of being like, "Hey, like, you do this shit."
And that it was so hard for me watching that, because I've never been a fan of Raquel, obviously, but I do have sympathy and I have empathy, and I am a human being, and I'm really, really fucking sensitive. So it was like, if I hadn't known everything I know now, that probably really would have tugged at my heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah. And it clearly...
It's not an easy group to be in. And if you... It definitely... And you don't necessarily vibe with everybody. That can be really difficult. But then it's like you have all that, but then what does she do? Like fucking Charlie, sit the fuck down.
She sucks.
She fucking sucks.
She
Sit
sucks.
Instigator extraordinaire.
That was
and
this was
then
a
all of
bad-
a sudden,
this is a
Raquel
bad-
has this attitude again.
He chose me.
Yeah, like where'd that humble panic attack crying?
I don't know who I am.
So now I just I don't even know who to believe at all. But then after all this comes out, Charlie's on Twitter just dragging Raquel's sister. So I'm like, pick a fucking lane.
Charlie just wants to make headlines.
Yeah, she just wants to be somebody.
Yeah.
And like Raquel definitely, she faked the blackout. She faked not remembering what she did that night, but she conveniently kind of remembered.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember like what I said. It's like,
I know that
she
I
felt
said something
embarrassed.
to you.
She clearly heard them. You saw her being self-conscious, hearing the women talk about her. And so she chose to like blame it on the alcohol and not remember, but she clearly fucking remembered.
Absolutely.
And
I've had many a blackouts during Vanderpump Rules filming, and really I'm like, oh shit, like, or brownout. There was definitely an hour I don't remember, and I really don't want to hear about it because I don't know if I was super fun or super toxic. But when she, like you just said, she conveniently remembers. I think I said something to you, Lala, that offended you. You were not.
How do you remember
out.
all of those details, but not? You know what I mean? Usually, it's just wait, what happened?
She fucking remembers, and like what she said. Those what do they say? Sober, like drunk words,
or sober thoughts,
or some shit.
Oh yeah.
When Lala was like, "I wouldn't trust you with alcohol." That was like Raquel being like, yeah, because I'll take your man. I'll take them and I will feel good about myself when I do. God. When she was sitting down, like Lala liked him too. Like everyone needed to fucking know that.
Well, and also when she brought it up, I think it was when she was leaving, when they said they packed up their bags, and she was saying, I think the only reason you have an issue with it is because like I got Oliver and you didn't. And I'm like, you are glossing over everything else that just happened, and just like trying to end on this note of, well, I got the guy.
Yeah.
You had a drunken makeout on a dance floor.
It's like, and then the whole part where she threw, obviously all the Randall shit in Lala's face, and I just wish Lala would have. I was totally on Lala's side. Because I'm watching it, and what I've actually really enjoyed about this season is, the Lalas and the Katies of the world. You have these women who, have made mistakes, and you're seeing like growth. It's just like, we had the pleasure of interviewing Lala here, really enjoyed it. And she's like owns her shit. And she's like, I'm working on myself. I'm working fucking hard. This isn't easy. I feel embarrassed at times. I'm regretful for what I did. And when Raquel tried to throw that in her face, I wish Lala would have just said, yeah, exactly. I fucked up. I'm literally trying to help you not make the same mistakes I did, and instead Raquel's like trying to throw it in her fucking face,
right,
and
she's
trigger
an
her
asshole.
and like use it's just
no
like,
Lala totally is like, she reminds me of like Eminem in like the very last battle in 8 Mile, where Lala's like, here, I'll tell you all the shit that is up with me. Now come for me. I own it all. I say it all.
Yeah.
These are the mistakes I've made. This is how I've grown. Because Lala, that's what, oh God, like I love her to pieces. She's one of my best friends, but she
keeps it real.
She does keep it real.
Yeah.
Like Raquel, just sit the fuck down.
What did you guys think about, though, the fact, I mean, we watched the episode yesterday, but it was just, it felt like we had what happened in Vegas. Obviously that was bad. We rehashed it the next morning, whether or not Raquel actually remembered it. We have the car situation where it felt like we kind of like evened things out. We talked about it. We moved on. We get to Havasu. And then Charlie joins, and you think the trip's off to a better start, or there's new fresh energy. And then we go to dinner. And I will say, like, as someone who also loves Lala, it just felt like suddenly, now that we had Charlie as an audience, we're rehashing everything that we've already discussed.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, okay, but
what's
like,
the point?
Yeah. I was like, but we've addressed this. And while I don't agree with Raquel's actions, like, continuing to just go and go and go, and I get it's a show, and I get we're keeping it dramatic, but
being the show,
I mean,
and having to retalk scenes,
it could be producers, saying now that Charlie's here, but it's so redundant, and it gets so old.
I was
where
like,
you're
we all just
move on.
watched this. We
Right.
watched it happen
We
the
don't
first
need to
time.
watch it
We
again and
watched
again
the
and again.
rehash, and now this is the third time that we're
Yeah.
talking about it.
Why do you think? I mean, I get, bachelor people hook up with each other.
Mhm.
There's familiarity in the kind of extreme environment. Like, no one can relate to these experiences.
That's
so
why
it's
I'm
just
friends
nice.
with so many bachelor people because
Yeah,
I'm like,
you're just like,
we
hey,
get-
you fucked up too? Yeah.
we get
Yeah.
what we go through. Yeah.
But why do you think it's like fairly incestuous with the Vanderpump?
I don't know. I mean, I can tell you when I was on the show, it's because we really did work together at this restaurant.
Sure.
And we really were best friends. I mean, that's why we got the show to begin
And
with.
you guys, you're younger.
But it
You're
was
so
like
much
that's
younger too.
That's who we hung out with. So I mean, I think anyone that works in a restaurant can attest
You're fucking
to that.
each other.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like you don't really go out at night because,
Mhm.
or you go out right after work with the people you
Yeah,
work
or you
with.
do industry nights on Mondays. So
Exactly.
So it's like,
Yeah.
So like that was back then, but now I don't get it.
It must be just, I think Tom, I mean, Raquel's not a victim at all, but I
Mm-mm.
do think Tom preyed on Raquel's vulnerability in a sense. Or do you think that's
I
being too
just think-
generous for Raquel?
I think it's being too generous. I think they're both so
equally
equally to
just
blame. Yeah.
toxic.
I do. Okay. Maybe I blame Tom a little bit more just for Ariana's sake because
He's in the relationship.
exactly. And like, I even remember saying this when they started dating and people would, once I calmed down and everyone would say like, oh, she stole your man. You can't steal a man. Okay. He made a free-willed choice to do what he did. Like he owed Ariana the world and he is the one who cheated. So I do place a little more blame on him. However, Raquel's claiming to be Ariana's best friend. She let Raquel sleep in her home, like stay there for a while.
She's
They
like
had
her big sister.
Yeah, they had Thanksgiving together. You're swimming in her pool, eating her food. Ariana's being nothing but hospitable to you. And this is how you return the favors. So it's like, I think they're both pretty equally to blame. I don't think Raquel was like taken advantage of. Like she's not 21.
How do you think the show will handle this? Like, will they get fired, do you think? Do you think they'll be like, well, actually, the show's been
I don't see
super
Raquel
talked
coming
about? Like-
back. I don't necessarily know. Well,
Because
let me
who's
tell you,
gonna
they
work
don't
with her?
fire. They don't fire anyone. They just don't ask you back.
Back.
For another season.
Gotcha. But yeah, it would be
Even-
hard to
yeah.
imagine them
I don't see her coming back because
like, is anyone
I think
gonna
she's
work
going
with
to be
her?
terrified.
Yeah.
she's also maybe going to have more restraining orders.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That will never work out. Like the judge, I hope when they have this stupid hearing, the judge just goes, #Team Ariana and like,
Wears a
You know?
Team Ariana t-shirt. That would be
Yeah.
incredible. Jerry O'Connell comes out in a robe. That would be amazing. Have you seen Raquel at all at the old apartment, Allie?
Been pretty locked up. Been pretty quiet
you
on
haven't
our
seen
hallway.
Tom. We're wondering if Tom's
Has
like
Tom
staying
showed up
there.
at all?
Tom was there the night that there was producers in the hallway.
I
There's-
know they filmed last Monday at her
Okay.
apartment.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same day you were talking about.
It was
but
a Saturday night,
Okay.
like 2
Oh.
Saturdays ago.
I
That
thought
they
it was
were
Monday,
there.
but maybe
they
that
were at
was the night.
night.
Because there were tabloids saying that they kissed on camera.
Ew.
And we found this out, Ariana and I found this out. So I filmed with her on Tuesday. And right after we were done and the crew leaves, there's already shit online from whatever tabloid saying they kissed in the apartment. And we're like, okay, now this has to be a production leak
Right?
because there is no one else that would know that. And it's not, we're like, would Tom's camp come out with it? No way, no way.
There's no
And
way to
I
even
may or
see
may
that.
not have
Like, I
tricked
know which
a
direction
producer
her
into
apartment, there's
admitting
no way.
they did kiss.
Okay.
So
That's significant.
What's that?
I said I may or may not have because I can say this stuff. Oh, I love not being on that show. I tricked someone in production to admitting that they did kiss on camera.
How'd you do that?
I called one person in production, Ariana and I, and we were like, just tell us. And I can't confirm or deny. I can't confirm or deny. Okay, well, there was no one else in there and this is already out, blah, blah, blah. Then another person in production that we were waiting for a phone call from, I said, we just talked to so-and-so and at this point, like, this has to be a production leak, right? Like, why is this shit coming out before we even know about it? And he was like, you're right. This has to be a production leak because there was no one else there.
Yeah.
And we're like, we fucking got it. Yes. So you guys give these public apologies and then you kiss on camera?
Yeah.
Gross.
And then that same day, like minutes later, Sandoval sends Ariana like this page-long text of the first basically apologizing, and she literally looks at her phone and hands it to me, and she goes, "I don't even want to read it." And I'm just like, the timeline of this.
He texted her an apology?
Yeah, it was like a really long, blah, blah, blah.
That's
but
another inconvenient thing.
But
You're going to make me read your apology via fucking text? Fuck you.
Right.
He texted her an apology?
Yeah.
Why don't you just leave her a voicemail?
Or like you're clearly showing up at her home all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know if Raquel and Ariana have spoken at all?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Ariana doesn't I think the network had asked production at one point in the last few weeks if Ariana would film with her. And I know production really had her back and just said, we're not even going to ask her that. It's not happening.
Yeah.
They'll at the reunion, she'll have to see her. That's going to be bad enough. But no, they definitely haven't spoken or seen each other. And Ariana wants nothing to do with her right now.
Might we see you back on the show? There's been a lot of rumors about
just the one scene.
Just the one scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no.
I don't want to be a part of anything that has Vanderpump attached to it. I'm good on that.
You've outgrown them.
I have outgrown it.
Graduated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have my friends, but that's a toxic environment that I will gain nothing from. Nor do I want to bring my boyfriend into that. And I like my bubble.
Yeah.
Exactly the way it is.
Back to Tom a little bit. Do you think
Which one?
Sandoval?
Okay.
Does he stand for anything? Does he? How would you describe? I mean, that's a stupid question, but is it does he have any core beliefs? Does he have any redeeming qualities other than he just is a guy who? He just seems like you're just average dude who just needed.
The thing is, it's again, trying to take this lens off of what we know now. He has always been so kind and very giving and very generous. And I don't just mean monetarily, financially. He's kind of like the dude me, where it's I'm the mom when we travel. I have what do you need? Do you need gum? This, da da da. I pack it all. That's very Tom, as people have seen in seasons past. And I've never really thought he did it for the validation or for the attention. He just has always kind of been that person. But now I don't know, because now is it because he wants everyone to know how great he is?
Yeah. I mean, so it could be both.
Or maybe it's both. Yeah.
Could be
totally.
Both. Of course he has nice qualities.
Right. I know he's always said, and I've agreed with, it brings him joy to make, it's weird to say this, to make other people's life easier, which is clearly not what we're seeing now.
That's the thing. I don't think he gives really a shit about other people.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's just, again, it comes down to, people like Tom, or the Toms from what I can gather, but specifically Sandoval.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people like that, especially in LA. It's as long as it doesn't inconvenience them,
Correct.
And so every time they're doing all these things, it's mutually beneficial, right? It's mutually beneficial to look out for others and make sure everyone's having a fun time, because everyone's like, oh, Tom, you're the best,
yeah.
It's so easy to be around.
And he does put all of those things above his responsibilities.
Yeah.
He never has been. I mean, when I was with him, I would open up 3 years worth of mail and dude, your car's getting towed for the third time. He just doesn't pay attention to responsibility, and he never has.
And it seems like he has people who bail him out. When I heard someone in his family gave him $250,000.
His mom.
It's just how can you take that money
mm-hmm.
for a business like owning a bar, which is
right,
a volatile business,
God.
and then not put your entire
right, and then go off with your band.
Heart and soul, go off with your band. Just not be not work morning, noon, night, through the night to make sure that.
And that was really as Schwartz's friend, something about Schwartz. Schwartz really has thrown himself into that bar, and he admits that probably played a part in the demise of his relationship with Katie, because Schwartz is fuck, I'm broke now. I've given all my money, my time, everything into this bar, while Sandoval is booking his national tour with his cover band,
paying people to play with him.
he pays them to practice. He pays that. Yeah. There was a rumor going around that he hooked up with this girl that, not the girl that's in the band now, but there was like another girl before that they ended up, I don't know if she quit or got fired, but we started hearing that they hooked up before. This is all obviously allegedly, but all of this stuff is just coming out of the woodwork, like one by one by one.
There is zero chance he hasn't slept with multiple.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah. And it kind of is because, you know, we ask ourselves, well, why Raquel? Like, aren't there plenty of other people to hook up with, not Raquel? It's like, yeah, there are. And he's also hooking up with them too. He must be.
Right.
And Raquel is just the consistent person he has because she's always around.
And they're filming
She's always
together.
there and they're filming and
going on trips and
yeah.
living in the same neighborhood.
On the topic of Tom Schwartz and Katie, like, was that something where it seemed like maybe it was a long time coming? There'd be been these concerns of hers that were never addressed by him.
Right.
Was the news of the relationship being finalized, the divorce, like, happening, a surprise to you, or kind of how did you process or make sense of that?
I mean, I knew about it obviously like far before it became public. And I know, I mean, she did tell me before she actually filed for divorce, like it was something that she brought to his attention. And there were just so many chances given. Like she begged for them to go to therapy. You know, she said, let's do it separately and together. She did her end of the bargain. She started going to therapy. He never did. So she just got to a point where she was like, I can't keep living the rest of my life this way.
Yeah.
Like I'm not getting
so
any
sad.
younger and I really want to be happy and I don't want to be miserable and I don't want to have all these feelings being internalized and shoved down that I'm now kind of exploding on other people. And, you know, she was just really unhappy and it had a lot to do with Tom not coming home at night. Like, again, back to the Peter Pan syndrome thing, it would be like, Schwartz is, you're married, dude. Like, not to say you can't ever crash at your boy's house, but like you call your wife and say, hey, Tom and I are kind of going out late. Is it okay with you if I sleep here tonight? But no, it would just like, he just doesn't come home. And then he wakes up hungover at 2:00 the next day. And Katie's like, where the fuck are you? Like, we are married. We want to have a family. Like, where's your responsibility?
And even if you trust your partner, like, that's just a red flag.
Yeah, and it wasn't
Just not
it
coming
wasn't
home.
even the trust thing. It was more just like, where do I fall in line of like,
Your priorities.
what's your priorities? What's like super important
I
to
mean,
you?
that scene, was it the other week or the week before where they're sitting at the bar
Mhm.
and he brings up he starts he confronts Katie. He brings it up, the conversation. And meanwhile, then she opens up, she's venting. She's clearly like been triggered by him.
Mhm.
And he's just out there like, hey man, what's up?
Yeah,
Shaking
it's
hands and then
Like,
calls
not
her
listening
selfish.
to her. Yeah.
Calls her selfish because she didn't let Tom be, the Tom guy.
As he's literally like shaking hands with someone in front of her face like
Mhm.
this.
Just there was no prioritizing their marriage. So
Do you think Scheana and Katie can come together? I'm watching this and I know Katie a little bit. I
Yeah.
know Scheana a little bit.
yeah, and I'm friends with both of
and I'm
them.
just like, and
I think if they both apologize to each other, I think that they can
I
hash
feel like
it out.
deep down I'm watching them and it seems like two people who maybe are just too hurt or too stubborn or a little bit of both
A little bit of both.
and too unwilling to be vulnerable to just say, I don't want to be fighting with you. I would rather be friends with you. Can
Right.
we be friends? Because it just they both seem like they have hurt and
Yeah.
and instead of and then, they're and I
And they don't have to be best friends and hang out every day,
Yeah.
but there is so much love there and so much history.
yeah.
And yeah, I think it's that Katie feels very betrayed by Scheana. And I think Scheana feels like Katie's just mean to her all the time. And I just think if at the reunion, they can both absolutely humble themselves without the like, I'm sorry, but you did,
Yeah.
da 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 da. If it can't be that way, it has to truly just be like, I'm sorry. This is what I recognize I did to hurt you, and leave it at that. And they both can do that. I think they
Couldn't
can
agree more. I
reconcile.
really hope at the reunion, there, with all the drama that is certainly going to be there, there's a bit of like a reunion of those two. Because
Yeah.
like, let's just come together.
Are
Yeah.
they on like speaking terms right now? Like in terms of, I'm sure so
No.
many people are just like showing up for Ariana. So are they kind of, are there people making sure that they're never overlapping in terms of
I'm
like
trying
being in the
to
same
think.
It
room?
seems like if nothing
They've
else,
been in
they're
the same room, but I think they just kind of
they're
stay
putting their
away from
differences
each other.
aside for Ariana. Almost.
Yeah,
sounds
but
like.
they're not like calling
haven't-
each other.
yeah.
They're not super chummy. Like we have a group chat that's called like the Madix support chat. So it's like and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's like mostly like the girls and our gays, right? And it's just like we also have like a spreadsheet that's like, okay, so here's whatever March 13th, March 14th. Here are all the times. Here are all the people. Here's Ariana's schedule. Who's going at what time? What did she eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I'm not even kidding. Just making sure she's constantly covered.
Taking care of
And
herself.
Katie and Scheana are both in that group chat. They were both at Lala's daughter Ocean's birthday party. They can be in the same room, but they're not talking right now.
Okay. I hope.
But
for
I
them
have
to
high hopes
yeah,
too.
I hope.
Because it sucks for us as someone who's both of their friends.
Totally.
Yeah.
Scheana knows, like, I don't want to hear you talk shit about Katie. Like, I spend more time with Scheana, but Katie and I live in the same building, and I still love Katie, and we don't hang out quite as often, but it's just like, I don't want to hear either of you talking shit. Like, save it for someone else.
Yeah, and there was a scene from this episode where Sheena's talking to Brock, and she's like, "I'd rather just be here instead of hanging out with the girls." And it was like, you could tell she just wanted to hang out with the girls, and understandably so. And it's like,
but it's hard to admit
it's
that.
hard to admit it. And,
when
she
feel
won, and I
left
really
out.
felt for Scheana there. And it's just like, I don't, and she's friends with Tom. I don't fault Scheana for, it's like,
No, I mean, I'm
being one of the
friends
guys
with
or
Tom
whatever,
and
like,
Katie was
and
fine
that's
with
okay.
that.
Like, as a guy, I've had a lot of women friends, and I love having women platonic friends.
Totally.
And so, like, there's nothing wrong with her supporting Tom, but I can totally get where Katie's coming from, and it's like it seems like unnecessarily messy.
But also, I'm back to just what we said earlier about Schwartz just manning up to be Ariana's friend right now. It doesn't mean you're not Tom's friend.
Well, that's a great
man
question.
up
Is Tom trying to be there for Ariana?
No, like she doesn't even want to talk to him right now. But like now, think back to when Tom and Katie got married. Ariana was a groomsman. She was on Tom's side of the wedding party. Schwartz's. Like, dude, you had her as a part of your wedding party. She went on your bachelor party, and you don't even have it in you to say, you know what, Sandoval, like, of course I love you. You're my boy. I'm not dropping you like a fucking fly. However, I don't agree with this. You fucked up, and she is my friend. And I,
Yeah. And even though Ariana doesn't necessarily want or ready for your apology, like that you haven't like fallen on the sword and said, whenever you're ready, I know I don't deserve your time or consideration, but like I definitely have not been a good friend to you. And I hope that I have a chance to make that right by you. Like,
yeah, and he has that opportunity at the reunion, but
who gives a shit about the reunion, right? Like,
I mean, I'm just saying that's when they're going to be in the same room together.
Sure.
He has this opportunity to say these things, and I don't think it's good. I think it's going to be the wishy-washy Schwartz that we always see.
It's like, it's just like I tried.
It's
No eye
it's just,
contact.
it's the way the cookie crumbles,
It's just like life's hard, but half off drinks,
Yeah.
It's really hard for everybody involved, man.
Yeah, everyone's involved.
My heart
It's
goes
like-
out to everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
On the exact opposite end of the energy spectrum, like with Lisa, how do you think, like, do you have any insight in terms of like how Lisa's handling this
'cause
and
she
based on
seems like almost motherly with the Toms and like close with the Toms, at least
I
this
think it's
season.
all an act.
You think it's... Have you
But
have
she
you talked to her
FaceTimed
at all?
Ariana after the dog
and
passed.
Ariana's been to her house. I mean, Ariana has said that Lisa's like welcomed her with open arms. Like, you can come bring your dog and your cat. You can come stay at Villa Rosa. And Ariana's like, shit, do I do that?
it's
That
lovely.
sounds fabulous.
She should
Go to Beverly
go.
Park and
Yes.
enjoy myself.
Yeah.
But so I'll say she's been very kind to Ariana in checking up on her and stuff, having nothing to do with filming. So
Well, Kristen, this has been great for coming. This has been so much fun, and thanks for all the insight. Just kind of any final thoughts on this whole experience, and also what would you say to anyone listening who wants to in some ways support Ariana? Like how can we all, Vanderpump Nation, show our love and support for Ariana? directly or indirectly?
I think what we're really trying to do right now is because, or if you don't know, a lot of people know she and Katie are opening their own restaurant, their own sandwich shop.
That's right. Yes.
So we made merch for that. Like it's selling like wildfire, and it's not going in Katie and Ariana's like pocket. This is going to the restaurant. So I think what I'm trying to let her realize is that she now gets to have her own projects to throw herself into that will be so positive, like boosting her self-confidence, her self-esteem. And she no longer has this dude riding her coattails. She wrote that cocktail book. That was her thing. And he jumped right in it and made it all about him. And she doesn't have to do that anymore. So I think really it's not about bad-mouthing Schwartz and Sandy's or bad-mouthing Tom. Do
Leave
the
that to us,
opposite.
yeah.
Just like support something about her, their sandwich shop, and any
is there
endeavors.
a website or merch that where we can go to?
Yes, they have an Instagram account. I think it's just at something about her.
Something about her Instagram. Okay,
and we post about it all the time, like on our stories.
Go
We've
and
all
follow
bought
something
sweatshirts.
about her Instagram and buy some merch. Oh, by the way, it was just want to talk shit about Tom one more time. But I saw a clip. I don't know where it was from, but it was a clip of Tom and Ariana, and Tom was telling Ariana that he was certain she had multiple orgasms, and she was like, no. And he was like, I'm pretty sure you did. And just like, for any guys listening out there, like, you don't know. Right. Like, and if a woman's telling you she didn't, she fucking didn't.
Right. And that's something I need to debunk is
What
like
the fuck
everyone's
is that?
saying that like Tom's like this super sexual person and Ariana's just not. And that's not true. Like she's a very in tune with her body and her mind and her sexuality. And she's very publicly open about being bisexual and really loving men and women. And she's like so sexual. The haters or the trolls out there that are saying like, well, I mean, they never had sex. Like, no wonder he fled and just kind of bullshit like that. It's so unfair.
And also, if you're a guy who's going to argue with someone you're having sex with about the orgasm they claimed didn't have, all you are exposing is how many other women you haven't. Please, how many other women have clearly faked an orgasm with you? Because listen, like orgasms can be tough to have, and like it's okay in a relationship where it doesn't happen. And like,
she's definitely not the only one who's faked an orgasm with Tom Sandoval.
It's like you should be in a relationship where your girlfriend or fiance or wife can say, yeah, I didn't this time. And then you could say, oh, what could we do? Because maybe it's not from sex or whatever. But I saw that clip and I'm like, no one's orgasmed with you.
Like, your path of destruction.
Like, yeah. I mean, he just doesn't get it.
No.
He can't possibly comprehend that. Like he probably
that
thinks
he's
that
not
everyone
the king
has
of the world. Yeah.
Multiple orgasms with him. Like, no, Tom, they're probably just watching porn and saying, I'm coming.
Yeah,
exactly. Because they don't know better.
And also just to like be done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say enough of bad things about him.
Yeah, we could go on and on.
Once again, Kristen. Oh, please. Also, what are you doing? Your podcast. Please plug away.
Yes, I have a podcast that is sometimes co-hosted by my boyfriend Luke, and it's called Sex, Love, and What Else Matters. It's really, really brand new, and I just want to like say I love and thank everybody, especially for listening to the last episode, because I'm so new in the pod world as being a host, but we like blew up the charts on that one. It really blew.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Yeah.
So
Congrats.
I'm trying to just hope to keep the momentum up. And I did say this on my podcast, but just to repeat, you guys, I am not like banking on her heartbreak. This was something she asked me to do. She was like, go talk about it. You be my mouthpiece. She's told all of the girls and I that. I'm just the only one who's legally allowed to.
And you're being a great friend in
Yeah.
a time where she needs them.
Yeah.
So, well, good for you. And it's nice to see you doing well.
Thank you.
And thriving in life. And like I said, it's
there's more projects coming up I can't talk about yet, but I'm making my comeback, I feel like, after 3 years.
Well, that's awesome. And like we all have made mistakes in life, and just like what we don't see in Tom, like it's just all we can do is grow and be better for it.
But you know what? I will say, like, throughout all the crap I went through on Vanderpump Rules, that was my platform to write my book. And people, I unfortunately did not get to do a book tour because it was during COVID
Ugh.
when my book came out, and then I was let go from the show, and it was just the perfect shitstorm. But books live forever, and I'm now getting so many people going, he's making you crazy. Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
Because now they're seeing, obviously, I don't name names in my book, but it's very
We know
clear
who, too.
what you've seen on TV.
Mhm.
So yeah, my book is available on Amazon, and please go read all the chapters, and now you're going to believe me.
There you go. Go buy that
There's
book.
my validation.
A Trail of Destruction by Tom Sandoval.
That'll be his memoir.
No, his memoir will be like why I'm the victim.
Yeah.
You know? No one
Yeah.
I made you come.
It's
Poor,
Ariana's
poor
fault.
me.
Yeah. No.
I made you come.
I Made You Come by Tom Sandoval.
Oh my God.
Bye everybody.